Wacced Out Murals has the first intro song to GNX. This is like Euphoria Part 2. Kendrick's back in his demon mode. Kendrick did it again here with this beautiful GNX album. So much to this album: Squabble Up, Luther, Reincarnated, TV Off, Wacced Out Murals. This song gets me so hyped. While I think Kendrick definitely talks a lot about the culture in general, there's still a lot of references to Drake and the rap battle in general. This was the first impactful song, the first song I heard from Kendrick's voice right after Watch the Party Die. What a stark contrast between that sound off Watch the Party Die where the Kendrick haters were really trying to get on, and then he flipped it on all of them. So if y'all enjoyed this song as much as I did, let's just spend an hour talking about the lyrics. Let's talk about how all the song titles on the album are written in lowercase. So, and also the two C's in Wacced Out, which I'll get to. I noticed that all the titles were lowercase, and to me it looked interesting, an interesting aesthetic. Lowercase text can often convey a sense of simplicity. With all lowercase letters, Kendrick could be showing how he wants to strip away pretension and let the music speak for itself, as we felt that this GNX album was a bit more raw, an unfiltered emotional core. Alongside the simplicity, it also resembles a form of rebellion against convention by not using conventional casing. Generally, internet culture tends to ignore punctuation and casing, so this can be another way for Kendrick to make something a bit more cohesive with the underground and internet scene. For comparison, on the Damn album, Kendrick uppercased all the letters in all the song titles. And this demonstrates how Kendrick always thinks about aesthetics. On to the two C's in Wacced Out. I remember seeing Wacced Out Murals and I thought, the two C's, it just looks pretty cool. But it goes deeper than that. At the Pop Out concert, Kendrick wore a red sweatshirt and those washed light blue jeans. If you saw the Squabble Up music video, you see Kendrick wearing a blue sweatshirt and blue jeans, which symbolizes his attempt to bring peace and unity to gang culture in LA. My understanding is that in the Crip gang culture, the CK is generally avoided and swapped with CC, as the CK may denote the derogatory phrase Crip killer by rival gangs, especially like in street tags. So instead of writing out Wacced Out Murals with the whacked CK, Kendrick swaps with whacked. I'm no authority on gang culture or anything like that, but that is the closest link I could see. And I don't assume that Kendrick really has any affiliation with gang. I think this is an aesthetic choice and something to align with LA. Now onto the beat and audio sample. The sample behind the song is from a song called Friends by Whodini, an American hip-hop group that was formed in 1982.
Let's be friends, the word we use every day. Most of the time we use it in the wrong way. Now you can look.
The song became the group's signature song, and this song has been sampled by many rappers, including Nas on If I Ruled the World,
Glimpse into time, watch the blimp, read the world is mine. If I rule the world, imagine that.
Tupac in Troublesome 96,
Ways, my mentality is ghetto, a gorilla in this criminal war.
and this song was sampled by so many more: Public Enemy, Dr. Dre, MF Doom, and even Will Smith. It's said that Whodini is the first rap group to infuse R&B into their music. This song reached number 4 on the US Billboard Hot R&B Hip Hop Songs chart. One of their big hits was also called Magic Swan, which was considered to be the first hip hop song ever to have a music video. That's kind of interesting. And it's ironic that the Whodini Friends song is a song about the challenges of friendship, which I think Kendrick sort of is a theme that kind of comes and goes about how he can, even in this song, about how he can trust or not trust people. Now for the Spanish lyrics. The intro and the post-chorus is sung by 49-year-old mariachi singer named thеy Barrera. In the first part, it's translated as, I felt your presence here last night, and we start to cry. But there was one little interesting thing here that we found out. According to Rolling Stone, this mariachi singer got a call one day out of the blue and was told that Kendrick wanted to use her vocals in his upcoming album, for which she said, I want to cry, and this is taking me by surprise. It turns out that she performed at an LA Dodgers game as a tribute to the pitcher who passed away named Fernando Valenzuela. And she said that she was in tears singing her heart out. And little did she know, she says, Senor Lamar was there. A few days later, she was asked to come to the studio and do some vocals for the album, for which Kendrick simply told her the feelings he wanted to convey and let her kind of do her thing. And she really does an amazing job. In the interview, she says Kendrick was really kind to her. And she said, Lamar is a genius, a maestro. Everything he makes is magic. Now for these lyrics where she sings, I felt your presence here last night, and we start to cry, to me, This is Kendrick's infusion of the spiritual side, even in Wacced Out Murals, maybe talking to God, or maybe talking to people who passed away, and that he feels their presence, and that's giving him some sadness, but also some power to continue the song. Now let's get to the lyrics. When you listen to Kendrick on this song, it really sounds like he has a very harsh and aggressive tone. So
where you from? Not where I'm from. We all indigenous against our lies.
I love the way he raps the lyrics. You can almost feel this like energy behind the words. Number one, yesterday somebody whacked out my mural. That energy will make you dudes move to Europe. There are two well-known murals of Kendrick Lamar put up in Compton. One that was vandalized, which we're going to get to in a second, and the other one at Tam's Burger, the restaurant where part of the Not Like Us music video was shot, and Kendrick said he grew up eating at. The mural at Tam's Burger shows Kendrick's face. It's written, "They Not Like Us," and it's tagged by an influential mural artist from Compton named Mike Norris, who also actually teaches mural painting in the Watts neighborhood of LA and inspired many other artists. As for the mural that was actually vandalized, it was the mural held at a Compton restaurant called Honduras Restaurant Mi Sabor, done by artist Gustavo Zemeño Jr., who goes by GZJR on Instagram. People call it a masterpiece, and it is arguably more notable than the other mural. It's really well done. The mural shows 3 portraits of Kendrick. One of Kendrick being honored with the key to the city, another of Kendrick accepting Best Rap Album Award at the Grammys for Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, and the one in the middle is Kendrick looking upward with the minivan from Good Kid, Mad City behind him. The artist GZJR actually wrote about this on his Instagram after Kendrick's first line. He said that he tried fixing it, but it kept getting vandalized. In the video that was shot of the person vandalizing the mural, you can see the anonymous individual crossing out Kendrick's eyes in the portraits, drawing an OK on the forehead. Then in the third portrait, it looks like they write OVO, but it's a little difficult to make out. The writing of OVO is what makes this seem an intentional attack from the OVO camp, but it can also just be an anonymous person. Kendrick using this issue in his first line shows that he's always tapped into the culture and what's happening. Here, Kendrick uses this as a point of contention to jump off at the song. A smart move, because in this, like, we feel for Kendrick being disrespected, and who doesn't want to root for someone who's getting their rights tread on? So it's like a contention point that makes a song just pop off and jump at you. Number 2, but it's regular for me, yeah, that's for sure. The love and hate is definite without a cure. All this talk is bitch made, that's on my lord. I'll kill them all before I let them kill my joy. I done been through it all, what you endure. Here, Kendrick is acknowledging the intertwinings of the love and hate that he gets, which you can see a lot of on the internet. At this point, it seems like Kendrick has become the rap figure that has become somewhat polarizing in a way, only because of how people react and take sides about the content of his music and his reputation. That word might be strong, so we can say maybe he's more galvanizing or iconic, but I think Kendrick understands this at this point and recognizes it here. But I think he's not referencing the good and bad comments across the board. He's referencing specifically the people who are talking out of both sides of their mouths at the same time. The one saying good, but also saying bad things about Kendrick. As he says in a few bars later, I watch him pander with them backhanded compliments. He says, love and hate is definite, but all this talk, combining all that talk as if it's coming from one source. He says it's bitch made, weak, or cowardice, because he wouldn't describe good opinions from one person and bad opinions from another as bitch made. So he's getting at his ops here, the people who are being contradictory, who say good things and bad things about him and hide behind bad intentions. And as we've seen, obviously, the J. Cole situation, went at Kendrick in the battle, then backpedaled, apologized, then kind of came back with Port Antonio later, said some kind of weird, questionable things, then did an ode to Drake at the same time, but never really backed him throughout the battle. Very strange behavior.
Last shit was tragic. Your second shit put niggas to sleep, but they gassed it.
The guy is on the stage apologizing for the response.
Dreamville, y'all love Kendrick Lamar, correct? As do I.
As we came fresh off the rap battle, and at the same time, this is Kendrick's first song off the rap battle after Watch the Party Die. And one particular moment here would be Drake when he referenced Kendrick's Control verse. He was giving compliments, but in a backhanded way.
And you've been asked, but did you know when you went in just to do that verse,
honestly,
that it would take and it would have this kind of impact on music?
No, I didn't know until after, you see the hooray and hoorah about it. The fact that hip hop hasn't been shaken up in a long time, you know.
And that verse was, he's giving people like moments, you know, like that verse was a moment to talk about. Are you listening to it now at this point in time? Okay. And then it was real cool for like, you know, a couple weeks. But like, if I asked you, for example, like, how does that verse start?
And then you see Drake use Kendrick's Buried Alive interlude on Take Care, you know, what could be known as Drake's quote unquote classic or best album, where Kendrick talks about the battle between his good and ego self, trying to stay grounded while yearning for fame.
If you was in a pine box, I would surely break the light.
And then years later, Drake mimics this in the battle, posting on Instagram lyrics over the song, calling it Buried Alive, saying to Kendrick,
I would shovel dirt on top. Dreams come true, Crody, this is where you die.
Look at just the full circle. I mean, how would you feel if you were Kendrick? Media personalities were also doing the same.
What top 5 you smoking on, Kendrick? Because my top 5 is Drake.
If we broke it off, then you know it wasn't painless.
Not a boat, Kim, not a boat. Who the greatest? Always been a boat. Love and hate. Let me say, I'm the biggest hater. I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk.
Giving credit to Kendrick, low-key throwing shots at him at the same time. Kendrick is saying, I'm willing to defend myself before I let them take away my happiness, because throughout my history, I dealt with a lot. And you people who are acting like this haven't been through the same things I have. Next line. It used to be F that dude, but now it's plural. F everybody. That's on my body. I love this line. This just came off so strong and harsh. While Kendrick started off as a clear hit against Drake, specifically, after seeing J. Cole switch up, dissing Kendrick, dissing To Pimp a Butterfly, but then take it back, bow out, but then come months later say he wouldn't have lost the rap battle, but have lost friendships, but then at the same time criticize Drake and Kendrick for their participation, which he also participated in, and all at the same time write an ode to Drake and pander to him. Then we saw Lil Wayne not honor or acknowledge Kendrick winning the Super Bowl halftime performance, but instead show what a lot of us thought were signs of jealousy, entitlement, that he's the one who truly deserved the performance, and then say it was ripped from him, as if the person who got it isn't worthy of the spot. Not only Lil Wayne, the rap battle really polarized people and had people take sides and decide which kind of rap music they are really here to support and which type of artist they're really here for. I know many people try to play both sides, but the battle really was divisive for the rap community. And I'm not saying that that was necessarily a bad thing, but it's a truthful aspect to this rap battle. Kendrick realized that Drake, at this point, really isn't the only opponent, which is why he says, I used to say, F that dude, aka Drake, and now I'm saying F everybody. Anyone can get it at this point because everyone is showing their true colors. Next line. I like when he says, that's on my body. I love that part because, it's like one way it's he can say F everybody that's on my body, F everybody that is kind of on top of me, that is bugging me, that is out to get me, but also a swear on himself. I haven't heard this phrase much, and people typically swear by other things. Swearing by God, they can say on God, on my kids, on my dead homies, whatever. But here Kendrick swears on himself. That's word on my body. Me showing accountability, not swearing on his children, but swearing through his own responsibilities, taking ownership for any of his sayings and actions. Next line. My blick first, then God got me. I watch him pander with them backhanded compliments. I shoot first and then let God take care of me. This is interesting because many people are scared of attack. We don't want to be the ones to transgress. People are scared to challenge the status quo and something that they know is wrong or fear of retaliation from others. But sometimes that fear works against you because then you enable the opposition. You enable the bully. You enable people to transgress on you even more. So here Kendrick is saying, I will go first if I have to and let God handle the rest. I will not sit around and be hit and maybe then see what happens. I also think there is some reference here to the song Like That, where people in one sense considered Kendrick as the first aggressor, in a sense, dropping the first bombshell verse against Drake. Certainly that can be challenged for all the things Drake has said throughout the years and for his posture with J. Cole and first-person shooter, but ultimately Kendrick dropped Like That and let things play out through the end where he was truly victorious. Also, Lupe Fiasco, who is known to be one of the better lyricists and even teaches rap music at the university level, MIT, had a few really choice words against Kendrick.
Drake.
Drake is a better rapper than Kendrick.
I would give it to Drake. I think Kendrick's a better technically skilled performer, but I don't think he's a better rapper.
Perform.
Yeah, that's a
So okay, so you ain't never heard Kendrick and felt like he was one of the most one of the most dangerous rappers?
No.
He actually called Drake the better rapper in an interview, which I think a lot of lyricists and people who are really grounded in hip hop would really argue with. And to hear someone who is known to be a lyricist call Drake the better rapper, I would say it's strange. Obviously, this is all arguable, but I think if we were to put in poll and just say who's the better rapper and ask people who are really into hip hop, they would say Kendrick, regardless of the battle. I think people did show their true colors. I was really taken aback by Lupe Fiasco's comments. Next line, put their head on a Cuban link as a monument. We know the Cuban chain is already a popular symbol in the culture of hip hop, synonymous for wealth and power in a sense. But here, it's really interesting how he puts it. He's saying metaphorically, he will decapitate the opposition and use the head as a pendant on a Cuban link chain, symbolic of a monument in a sense. It's like the Statue of Liberty, Mount Rushmore, sitting as a pendant on the chain. Next line, I paid homage and I always mind my business. I made the dun 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 dun. I never lost who I am for a rap image. It's motivation if you wonder how I did it. Kendrick feels like he paid his dues and stays out the way, which seems pretty on point to me. He made music like in Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly, Damn, Mr. Morale, which no one can deny. It's just classic rap music. It's gonna go down in history. He rarely does interviews and he rarely speaks bad on others. Instead, he spends his time going on tour to perform for his fans. He pays homage to the greats, to Nipsey Hussle and Tupac.
And all them kids was out looking, and a good friend of mine say, you was one of them kids looking at Pac when he was up here doing it. Now they looking at you, and it blew me away. Tripped me out. 15 years later, man, I'm doing that same thing Pac was doing. Right in Compton, man.
But then he says here, I made the dun dun, and then he mutes the vocals over the beat. I won't even attempt to figure this one out because the whole line is muted. He does this a lot, which seems like just a way to mute something very divisive he's about to say. He does this twice on the track, the second we're going to get to later. He did this in Watch the Party Die, and he does this in some of his older music. I'm thinking Sing to Me, I'm Dying of Thirst, where he mutes vocals after a gunshot and the verse of the woman. Then Kendrick starts lowering the volume of the vocals until it goes mute to represent that she gets killed. But I have to say that I wasn't crazy about this part in the song because it was already obvious that he was in crash out mode and this whole album was invigorated through what seems like anger and fury in a way. So I would have loved for Kendrick to just not mute anything in this song. Just say what you have to say, right? Because he was definitely saying things that were pretty aggressive. We know the ending must rhyme with business and image, and did it, right? Because he says, I always mind my business. I made the I never lost who I am for a rap image. It's motivation if you wonder how I did it. I'm gonna leave it to everyone else who can figure that out. Then he says, I never lost who I am for a rap image. It's motivation if you wonder how I did it. I love these lines because it's Kendrick saying, I never sold out. I never stopped making the music that was true to me. I never faked it. Even, he came out with Mr. Morale. He was so scared to drop Mr. Morale, he says, and then he won awards for it. And people still use it against him like that. Mr. Morale didn't compare the other albums, all this kind of stuff. But if you're sitting around wondering about me and how I did it, Kendrick is saying, just use it as motivation. And I truly love this part about Kendrick. I do feel that he, despite whatever contradictions and good and bad that he expresses about himself throughout his music, you get the sense that he's always authentically himself and not playing a role. Oh man, then we hear that chorus with the bass that kicks in. Yeah, going up your rank. Know you a god even when they say you ain't. Keep your feelings out the way. Never let no one put smut up on your name. Keep your head down and work like I do, but understand everybody ain't gonna like you. If they say it's love, you've been lied to. A couple of rules of engagements, I'ma guide you. I love the chorus, and it sounds really dark, like Kendrick is just up in your face, basically reaffirming his thoughts and views by saying, this is how you do it. This is me. And here you would think he's somewhat talking to his ops. There's another perspective, that he's talking to us, the listener. Yeah, get better. Go higher. And remember, you can be something great even when they say you can't. Don't worry about your emotions. Keep your head down and work like me. And remember, not everyone has to like you. Don't let anyone try to ruin your reputation. That was another good point. Don't let anyone put smut up on your name. I love this line because I believe that this GNX album dropped at the right time. Just days after some media tried to run with the twisted narrative against Kendrick, trying to link him to someone who was caught on hidden camera with intentions of being with a minor through a show that is called To Catch a Predator by a streamer named Vitali. And while the stream does try catching people with those intentions, I would say it's just super exploitative and sensationalized for views. I really don't like that kind of content. But someone who was caught on the show was seen in fan photos years ago with Kendrick. Blogs tried to, and media personalities tried to link Kendrick to this guy, which he clearly had nothing to do with. And I feel like this twisted narrative is what made Kendrick come back outside, in a way to warn these people to be careful in how they speak on Kendrick's name. You know, I think Kendrick, maybe he was gonna wait, but maybe he just said, we're done. I'm dropping this after you saw that. Also, this chorus interests me because there's this, I wouldn't say arrogance, but a type of honorable pride in Kendrick, using himself as the role model that you can follow. Like when someone is a champion and they say, follow me, do it like I did, watch me, don't let them take you down. There's some honor and there's some respect in him doing that. In it, there's this built love for Kendrick as he's saying it, because it's like you do want to admire Kendrick for what he's saying and the good things that he's doing. And these are the themes even parents, wouldn't mind their children to follow. Be strong, don't let others take you down, even if they try. All right, let's get to verse 2. The second verse really picks up the pace, and I think all the verses pick up the pace. The third one gets crazy. And with this increasing bass, next line, riding in my GNX with Anita Baker in the tape deck, it's gonna be a sweet love. Oh man. Here, Kendrick references the GNX car and Anita Baker's song, Sweet Love. For the GNX car, it's a Buick GNX vehicle, which stands for Grand National Experimental. It's a coupe and it's known for a black monochrome look. It was a car that had high horsepower and high torque, so the car was iconic for power and muscle. The Buick GNX was based off of a Buick Regal, but making it stronger and faster for racing. The GNX itself debuted in 1987, which was also the year Kendrick Lamar was born. So the car, in a sense, represents the birth of Kendrick himself. Kendrick being a new type of person, used from people who came before him like Pac. Kendrick also says in TV Off, all I ever wanted was a black Grand National. Kendrick Lamar also talks about this car on his Instagram burner account, Jojo Ruski, months ago, where he said, but in the moment of confusion, the best thing you can do is find the GNX. Make you realize the only thing that matters in life is that original paperwork. In the post, he shows off photos of the car and its interior, and also shows an old photo that seems to be of him or maybe a family member, I can't make it out, when he was a kid, playing with a toy version of the car or something similar. I love the Anita Baker reference. He says he's riding, bumping Anita Baker. It's going to be a sweet love. Sweet Love is a very classic and popular song by Anita Baker, who made soulful jazz music. We'll hold you, baby. In the classic song Sweet Love, Anita Baker expresses deep love and commitment to a partner with a poetic undertone of entrapment, I would say, an all-consuming devotion. She says, my arms will hold you. Don't you ever go away. It will always be this way. Kendrick doesn't say he's playing Sweet Love. He says, I'm riding, bumping Anita Baker. It's gonna be a sweet love. And I think he's being ironic, like when someone says a bittersweet promise or a love that burns. He's contrasting beauty with danger, like he's evoking a sense of seduction, but disguising destruction with charm. He's reframing Anita Baker's Sweet Love as a drill against his enemy that will be suffocating and overpowering. Next line. F apologies, I want to see y'all geeked up. And this line matches with the previous line from Kendrick's Not Like Us, where he said, F a caption, one action, no accent, I'm hands on, he F around, get polished. A line where he said, I don't want Instagram posts about what you can or can't do. I want you to do something. Here he's playing on all the apology talk about how Kendrick and Drake will or won't make amends, should they make amends, and maybe even a play here directly on J. Cole's apology himself, who specifically went after Kendrick but then apologized to Kendrick at the concert. So Kendrick is saying, forget apologies. I want to see y'all geeked up. And geeked up is like being high, also a reference for, being overly excited, high energy. I see this line as Kendrick saying two things. I don't want you to apologize. I want you to respond to me as you truly would. I want you to be you. Be authentic. Don't be fake. Be who you really are. I see this as a nice direct shot to J. Cole, in my opinion, and of course any other contenders who may be faking. What a dope way to say, don't act nice. Be real. Next line. Don't acknowledge you, then maybe we can say it's fair. Take it to the internet, I'ma take it there. So don't acknowledge me, then maybe we can say it's fair. If you left it alone, then this would be fair. If you left all the narratives alone, this would be fair. We battled, I won, fair, we're done. And I always said, I don't know why, Drake couldn't just brush it off, like just brush his shoulders off. Instead, everyone was doing the most. Drake and his side and media personalities who align themselves with Drake are doing way more than what's needed. They're not letting go of Kendrick's win, but instead constantly throwing sneak disses towards Kendrick since the battle. As we recently saw, Drake, he started to go to basketball game, try to intimidate DeMar DeRozan at the Toronto Raptors game, skip out on Lil Wayne's concert, which all DeMar DeRozan did was appear in a music video for Kendrick to support his friend and his hometown Compton. So Kendrick is saying, if you guys stop talking about me, stop acting childish like this, and stop doing these extra things, then maybe we could say it's fair, but you're not. So this is no longer a fair game. It's no longer just a fair fight that I won. So y'all are continuing the charade on the internet, and that's why Kendrick then says, take it to the internet, I'm gonna take it there. If you guys are going to play internet games, I'm gonna play internet games as well. I'll get just as dirty as you will. And in 616 in LA, Kendrick said about Drake,
you playing dirty with propaganda, hit blow up on you. You're playing nerdy with Zach Bia and Twitter bots, but your reality can't hide behind Wi-Fi.
You playing dirty with propaganda, it blow up on you. You're playing nerdy with Zach Bia and Twitter bots, but your reality can't hide behind Wi-Fi. Your little memes is losing steam, they figured you out. Those are some of my favorite lines in the rap battle. And in 616 in LA, there's also fake Twitter accounts just to tarnish Kendrick's name. There's literally a name called Fake Fans of K. Dot that literally goes to reply to all the West Coast artists like Ab-Soul and posts all these nasty things trying to tarnish Kendrick's name. I don't know who's in control of those, but it's very strange. Next line. Miss my uncle Lil Wayne, he said that he would kill me if I didn't make it. Now I'm possessed by a spirit and they can't take it. Here it sounds like Kendrick is saying that his uncle one day told him through tough love that if he didn't make it, he'd hurt him in a facetious kind of way, just to exaggerate, to motivate him. And some lyrics say that he says, I miss my uncle Lil Wayne, but I hear him saying, I miss my uncle Lil Wayne. Either way, to me, he seems to be referring to his own uncle who gave him words of encouragement. And now Kendrick is saying through his uncle's words of encouragement, he feels possessed. And he's reaffirming that he is acting in the way that his uncle wanted him to act, the way he inspired him to become. But now people can't take it or accept his stardom. Kendrick mentioned his uncle saying something similar in the past. In Money Trees, off of the Good Kid, Mad City album, he spoke about his uncle seeing that one day he will be a star. 2 bullets in my uncle Tony head. He said one day I'll be on tour. So another callback to his uncle. Next line. Used to bump the Carter 3. I held my Rolly chain proud. Irony. I think my hard work let Lil Wayne down. Whatever though. Call me crazy. Everybody questionable. You know, this goes deeper than we all think, and it comes full circle. It's very ironic because we all know, so Lil Wayne dropped an album in 2008 called The Carter 3, which was really popular, and Wayne at that time was just really popping. A lot of people might not know that Kendrick had a mixtape called C4, dropped it around 2009, which was basically Kendrick and also Ab-Soul and some of the other West Coast artists freestyling and doing vocals on top of the Carter 3's music production.
Every line be tailor-made, hella paid, count that money several ways. Borrow cause her son was a gunner. They found my corpse with a rapper's head in my stomach.
So playing the beats and Kendrick rapping over it, like an ode to Lil Wayne. You know, I think Lil Wayne even was in one of the songs. I don't know if Lil Wayne made a verse just for Kendrick for that album or Kendrick used one of his verses and put it on, but either way. And then he also, in his overly dedicated album, he had a song called Michael Jordan. In the video, he has this Rolly chain that he's using throughout the whole video. So I think the C4 was like kind of like an old like Carter 3, C4. Obviously Lil Wayne dropped the Carter 4, dropped the Carter 5. And ironically, Kendrick is also on the Carter 5 in the song Mona Lisa, which was fire. I mean, and Kendrick did an amazing job. Ironically, the song is actually about betrayal. And now we get to all this SuperBowl stuff, right? So now full circle from being young to this. And this to me is one of my favorite lines. And I was really excited about Kendrick addressing this. People are still debating this. Lil Wayne fans excuse him. Kendrick fans are just like, nah, he was being ungrateful. I personally felt relief when Kendrick addressed the Lil Wayne situation because it felt like these were already the sentiments that I had, and I know many people had. That Lil Wayne was, the way he was reacting to not being able to do the Super Bowl halftime show over Kendrick. Because after we heard Kendrick would be the one headlining the Super Bowl, we all of a sudden heard in the ether that Lil Wayne having this moment, wondering why he wasn't chosen. And in his Instagram post, he said, it broke me. It hurt a lot.
A whole lot. Hurt a lot. You know what I'm talking about? It hurt a whole lot. I blame myself for not being mentally prepared for a letdown. And for just automatically mentally putting myself in that position, like somebody told me that was my position. It made me feel like not getting this opportunity.
But he puts blame on himself for not being mentally prepared for a letdown and automatically thinking that he would get it. Then when the time came to do his annual Louisiana concert in New Orleans, he also said there how he worked his ass off to get the position, but that it was ripped away from me.
I want to be on stage for the Super Bowl one day in front of my mom. And I worked my ass off to get that fucking position, and it was ripped away from me.
To a lot of people, Lil Wayne appeared entitled and unsportsmanlike and ungraceful. Putting aside the fact, if like Lil Wayne wasn't promised anything, right? Let's put that aside. When two fighters fight or two teams play and one wins and one loses, it's sportsmanlike to just shake hands, give it up to the winner. Like say you're in a race and someone gets first place and you get second. You don't say, this race was ripped away from me, and you don't like not congratulate the winner. It's just not sportsmanlike. Like you going on your Instagram posting about losing, going at your concert saying it was ripped from you, and then not even acknowledging Kendrick Lamar in any type of way or saying something like, I didn't get it, but congrats to Kendrick, he also deserved it. That definitely would make the winner feel like you are being spiteful. This is what gave birth to this bar. And Kendrick is so prophetic that he says, the irony, I think my hard work let Lil Wayne down. Everybody questionable. And what happens right after the release of Wacced Out Murals, Lil Wayne ironically continues to show spite towards the situation, saying in a tweet, man, what the F I do? I just be chilling and they still come for my head. Let's not take kindness for weakness. Let this giant sleep. I beg you all, no one really wants destruction. Not even me, but I shall destroy if disturbed. On me, love. Okay. All right, Wayne. He's super graceful here, which is basically not only being ungrateful, he's threatening Kendrick at this point, right? That's a threat. That's why people saw you as ungrateful, Wayne. To this, a fan responded very articulately by saying, you said the Super Bowl was taken from you when it wasn't promised in the first place, and you never congratulated the artist who looked up to you and worked hard himself to get it, but now it's what the F I do. LOL. And then Top Dog, the head of TDE, Kendrick's previous label, said in an Instagram story, Dot is a dangerous man right now. Everything I thought he would be at 16 years old is here right now. Everybody stand down, I promise you. And I think that was another warning shot to say, you know, Lil Wayne, relax. You know, nothing's going on here. Don't try to turn this into something or, you know, it could become another rap battle. And Kendrick was right. Lil Wayne is questionable. You know, I always found it amazing how Kendrick is being very prophetic. Like every time he doesn't engage or question, you do see these things play out. You know, he went at first person shooter because he saw J. Cole and Drake being questionable. And sure enough, you saw how J. Cole moved after the battle. Very questionable. Then he says here, I think my hard work let Lil Wayne down. And then instead of Lil Wayne saying, nah, it didn't let me down, broski. I was in my feelings. I just really wanted the Super Bowl, but bro, I'm proud of you. Instead, the response is, I shall destroy if I'm disturbed, right? So it's almost like he's still not thanking Dot. Next line. Snoop posted Taylor made. I prayed it was the edibles. I couldn't believe it. It was only right for me to let it go. Snoop did in fact post Taylor made freestyle on his IG story. He also reacted to it on his IG, just humorously acting like he was shocked. And I'm with Kendrick on this one. It does seem questionable for Snoop to post that, especially playing the song in the story. It seems to me that Snoop took it as more of a self-congratulatory thing though. I don't know if he meant it that way. Like he wants to say, look at me and Pac, like the 90s OGs, sort of a nod to their achievement that they're being used in this way. But I can assume through these lyrics that Kendrick saw it as insensitive and tone deaf given the context of the situation. But we do know that the Tupac estate reacted quick and told Drake something like he had 24 hours to take Taylor Made down or he would face litigation. I don't understand the Taylor Made post, to be honest, but the reaction Snoop had overall, it seemed authentic to me. I think he just wanted to stay out of the way, and to me it felt kind of on brand for Snoop. But ironically, Snoop did tweet after this song dropped, jokingly saying, K. new album, GNX, it was the edibles, West King. You know, nod to Kendrick, like, nah, respect, it wasn't meant that way. That's why I feel like I was kind of upset with Lil Wayne, because in his response, he was ungrateful. He could have been graceful at that point and say, nah, it wasn't meant that way, just like Snoop did. But one thing I did find interesting was how Kendrick didn't disrespect Snoop here. Like, he always has this wherewithal to know how to respond. Like, he sees Snoop as an OG. And I think in one of an old TMZ clip where they found him at an airport and I think it was after he dropped the Control verse.
Yeah, Jay-Z and P. Diddy post, what do you think about that Instagram post they did of you?
That's a big comment.
No comment?
That's a
Big homie, everybody else gotta try harder though.
So he always had a way to avoid the people who he sees as goats, you know, to disrespect them and kind of like stand down in a way. As we know, Jay-Z is part of choosing the Super Bowl performance, and Kendrick ended up getting it. So imagine if he had disrespected Jay-Z and Snoop and all this, you know. So he kind of, I like that he knows where to draw the line. Next line. Won the Super Bowl and Nas the only one congratulate me. All these dudes agitated. I'm just glad they showing their faces. When Kendrick did win the Super Bowl halftime performance, we did see a huge debate between Kendrick and Lil Wayne, and you didn't hear many celebrities comment on it much. But here Kendrick is reminding us that one person did give him credit, and that was Nas. When he got it and made the announcement, Nas posted on his story, "Congratulations to my brother Kendrick Lamar. Can't wait to watch the party die." And then after GNX dropped, Nas again said something similar, posted the GNX cover to his Instagram saying, "Always inspired by my brother KL, keeping the essence of this shit alive and at the forefront, salute King." And here Kendrick is obviously showing annoyance at all of this and displaying how the industry is fake and filled with snakes. And it was only Nas that gave me congratulations. Lil Wayne's going on this tirade talking about how he earned it and he deserves it. Then we have the Lupe Fiasco situation where he called Drake the better rapper. It kind of showed some signs of jealousy. Next line. "Quite frankly, plenty artists, but they outdated old ass flows trying to convince me that you they favorite." I love this line. Here we don't know exactly who he's talking about. Could be referring to Drake here, Lil Wayne, Rick Ross, Lupe Fiasco, who knows? But because this bar was preceded by the Super Bowl, I think this might be a sneak diss to Wayne. I can't claim to know exactly, but throw in here any rapper who's trying to stay relevant with an outdated style and not changing. But I love this bar because it was just Kendrick saying, all these people hating on me, they're outdated. Next line. "This is not for lyricists. I swear it's not the sentiments. F a double entendre. I want y'all to feel this shit. Old soul. Bitch, I probably built the pyramids." Drake said in the outro of Taylor Made Freestyle, he says, talking about Kendrick,
In a notepad doing lyrical gymnastics, my boy. You better have a motherfucking quintuple entendre on that shit. Some shit I don't even understand. Like,
in the notepad doing lyrical gymnastics, my boy, you better have a mother effing quintuple entendre on that shit. Some shit I don't even understand. So making fun of lyricism, trying to paint it as if Kendrick speaks in a way that people don't understand and I'm so easy. But Kendrick here just wants to clarify, this is a crash out record. Y'all want to joke about lyricism? This is not that. This is for me to make my points heard. As for the interesting pyramids reference, Kendrick said in one of his first studio singles, High Power, "While you mother effers waiting, I'll be off the slave ship, building pyramids, writing my own hieroglyphs." So a nice callback to the pyramids, just calling himself like this old soul. Next line. "Ducking strays when I rap battled in the Nickersons." So there's also a clip of Kendrick rap battling when he was young in front of Nickerson Garden Projects in LA.
I'm so far ahead of my time, I got people 5 years from now pressing rewind. I'm hardly impressed with y'all. I hate rappers. Where the true artists at? If it ain't a good picture you draw, don't bring it to the architect.
Nickerson Gardens is a housing complex in the Watts area of Los Angeles. Also, it's where Kendrick shot parts of the music video of Not Like Us.
What's up, so? What's the deal? Man, we out here in the Nickerson Gardens. Drake.
Yeah. I mean, hey.
It's all love with soul.
All love.
And the Nickerson Garden Projects was also referenced in Kendrick's famous lyrical beat switching song called Duckworth from the Damn album, where he was telling a revealing and biographical story about both his father and Top Dawg, the head of TDE, his record label at the time, and describing a serendipitous meeting between Top Dawg and his father, and how Top Dawg was robbing a chicken spot his father worked in, but Kendrick's father, with some foresight, he didn't want to get on their bad side, so he used to give Top Dawg some free food. And then one day when Top Dawg robbed the chicken spot, he spared Kendrick's father's life, and the story comes full circle, describing how he and his father would later be working together in the music business, ironically with Top Dawg. In Duckworth, Kendrick references Nickersons. See, once upon a time inside the Nickerson Garden Projects, the object was to process. And then I like where he says ducking strays, almost like ducking bullets. So he was always having to get through these conflicts, having to stand up and rise to the occasion. Next line. "Where you from?" Now, where I'm from, we all indigenous. This line was interesting because it can be read in two distinct ways. At first, Kendrick can be saying, you asking me where I'm from? It's not about where I'm from. We all come from the same place. Where you from? Now, where I'm from, we all indigenous. Another way to read the line is more antagonistic, as if Kendrick is asking, where are you from? Because it's not where I'm from. Where I'm from, we're all indigenous. We're all originally from here. Like, where are you from? Not where I'm from. And we could take it either way you choose. The word indigenous is interesting because it can mean native, but also the original inhabitants of a land, or specifically the Native Americans. So in one way, Kendrick is either drawing a parallel or drawing a disparity. In the first way, he could be saying, forget where anyone is from. We're all the same. And Kendrick's first song off the Section 80 album is called F Your Ethnicity, where he says, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, god damn it, that don't mean shit to me, F your ethnicity. But in the second way, he could be saying or asking, calling out his opposition, potentially Drake from Canada and of mixed race, he could be saying, where are you from? Because it's not from here. Me personally, when I hear the bar, it sounds more like Kendrick is highlighting a contrast similar to the sentiments in his song Not Like Us. Because right after these bars, he seems to then reference the rap battle. He says, next line, against all odds, I squabbled up for them dividends. Against all odds, I showed up as a gentleman. It sounds to me like Kendrick is saying, despite my yearning for peace, he had to face adversity and show up for the rap battle. And interesting, he uses the word dividends because this can have different meanings. One could be financial or just general reward. So he could be saying, I had to show up for profit as well, but I also had to show up to get my piece of the pie. I had to show up to get my reward in this game, my stake in this game. I love the word gentleman here because despite Kendrick's critics running with the narrative that he is this mad angry because of all the sentiments and Not Like Us, and he makes it clear, I still showed up with integrity. I didn't spin narratives. I only broke down your character as I saw it. And to me, when I look back at the rap battle and I look at all the songs, even though people tried to paint it just because the song was such a hit, Not Like Us, and said, oh, he made this really strong accusation, but everything was picked apart from elements that you can see around you, the elements of Drake that was noticeable, that he just kind of like broke it down. So that's why I think he says, I showed up as a gentleman. I did what I had to do. And he uses the phrase against all odds twice here, which means despite all the overwhelming challenges, I was able to rise to the occasion. And the phrase against all odds obviously is known, but it's also the track on Tupac's posthumous album entitled The Don Illuminati, The 7-Day Theory, which many people just call Machiavelli because of the cover art, which reads Machiavelli and shows Tupac hanging on a cross, sort of an ode to the philosopher Machiavelli. Against All Odds was actually a diss track to many of Tupac's opponents at the time. He disses Mobb Deep, Diddy, and even Nas, ironically. But that album, Machiavelli, is really underrated, as for some reason, it's not even listed in Tupac's Spotify of albums. You have to like search for it. And this album dropped right after his famous All Eyes on Me, and even includes some of his major hits like Hail Mary, Toss It Up, and To Live and Die in LA. Next line. Now this line, put that on my kids' children, we gonna see the future first. So two things. One, we heard Kendrick swear on himself earlier in the track, now swearing on his grandkids, which he doesn't have yet. So swearing in the future on kids who were to come in the future, but then also playing, we gonna see the future first. And that phrase is interesting. One, it's a play back on what he said in Watch the Party Die, why reason with these dudes if they can't see the future first. And that phrase is a really interesting phrase because it was also used by Frank Ocean in his song Nike, where he said, we gonna let you guys prophesy, we gonna see the future first. So in Frank Ocean's song, it's like, we're going to let y'all try to do your thing and claim you're going to do your thing. But in the end, we're the ones who are going to predict and implement what's going to come in the future. So one, it's we going to see the future first, being we're the ones who are going to prophesize and dictate what is to happen. And maybe just another raw way of explaining this is him saying, we're going to be the survivors, like kind of like survival of the fittest, and y'all are going to go away. What bridge they done burnt, all of them. It's over with. I'm doing what COVID did. They'll never get over it. I love this line just because it's like Kendrick is saying everything just crashed down. The mountain just collapsed. The avalanche just overflowed. Everybody is just questionable at this point. There's no this person that I don't know what's happening. So I'm basically, if you look at it just like COVID, like y'all, no one could get over that. That's something that just did some damage to the world. Y'all are never gonna get over what I did. Y'all are never gonna get over this rap battle. Y'all never gonna get over who I am. Next line. Now we're gonna be in verse 3, which really picks up. Dudes from my city couldn't entertain old boy, promising bank transactions and even Bitcoin. And then later he says, if that money got in the hands of a crash dummy, could jeopardize my family and burden the ones who love me. Another thing I love about this line is we all know Drake refers to himself as the boy, certified lover boy, and giving himself that nickname. And then we all know Kendrick referred to him in the rap battle in Euphoria. He said, you call yourself the boy, but where's the man? Because I ain't even seen him yet. Can I bleed him? Bet. Here, it's a really interesting twist because he says, dudes from my city couldn't entertain old boy. And that was old boy. So he said he wasn't going to do double entendres, but he still did it. You know, you say that old so-and-so, he's actually saying old boy. The contrast, someone who's old but still acts like a boy. This verse is one of the clue-ins that this song seems to be either one of Kendrick's songs that he may have had in the tuck during the rap battle, or he seems to be definitely referencing some of the stuff that happened in the rap battle. The word that allegedly Drake put out money during the rap battle to find dirt on Kendrick. But it was then reported that some people from LA that were asked about Kendrick ended up, taking Kendrick's side and actually gave misinformation, didn't take it, or somehow took some of the money. I don't know. It's a strange story where they took part of it, but then they gave misinformation about Kendrick and just kind of let the cat out the bag that Drake was going around looking for info in exchange for money. And Kendrick responded to this already in 616 in LA, saying, "It was fun until you start to put money in the streets, then lost money because they came back with no receipts. I'm sorry that I live a boring life. I love peace." He adds an interesting nuance here, though, that if this is the case, allegedly like direct bank deposit and cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, which right now is really on the rise. Kendrick is also expressing that, man, if this deal got into the hands of the wrong person, it would have really affected him and his family. People, unfortunately, are willing to do anything for money and even sell out their best friends, as we saw in many popular court cases involving rappers of recent, how friends turned on each other and said things about one another just to be free while the other one rots in jail. Kendrick is acknowledging the harm that could have come from Drake's alleged attempt at paying people off during the rap battle. And this specifically might be one of the elements that makes this situation very unforgiving to Kendrick. Next line. "I never piece it up. That shit don't sit well with me. Before I take a truce, I'll take him to hell with me." I loved how this line sounded and how he said it and the stark contrast that he paints from peace to hell. He'll never piece it up. I'll take him to hell. This line emphasizes the sentiments that Kendrick drew a line in the sand after Not Like Us. And he's clarifying he's not interested in any amends at this point. And this line is drawing an even harsher line in the sand because he's saying, "I'll go to the pits of hell, to my darkest place, before I make any amends with these people." I have to say that this is cold. And you have to wonder what else might be behind the scenes. Next line. "Y'all stay politically correct. I'ma do what I did. Ain't no sympathy here. This shit's hilarious. It's a lot of opinions, but no power to carry it." To me, when he says it's a lot of opinions, but no power to carry it, despite all your hatred towards me, you don't have true influence to take me out. You don't have any real influence to take me down and ruin my reputation. And what's ironic is now we see Drake in an attempt potentially suing his own label and suing UMG over saying that they help Not Like Us, or so it's like you really don't have any power. I like this line. It's like too many opinions, but you don't have no true power or influence to do much. 2025, they still moving on some scary shit. Tell them quit their job and pay their real dudes they severance. If we stay in the realm that a lot of Wacced Out Murals is still addressing Drake, to me this bar sounds like he's talking to Drake, who is known for allegedly having ghostwriters and reference songs for many popular tracks. It's as if Kendrick is saying the real dudes are your ghostwriters. So why don't you just quit rapping, or maybe your ghostwriter should quit, separate from you, and now give them the people who wrote your songs the real money that you owe them, because it ain't you. And we know severance is a word meaning when two parties separate from each other, or severance pay, what some employers may give to an employee when they terminate the employee. Now this next line, I love this. I love these bars right here. "Since y'all pandering to choose a side, let me do it for you. Okay, F your hip hop. I watched the party just die. Dudes crackling about so-and-so while all of y'all is on trial. Dudes thought that I was antisocial when I stayed inside of my house." Now we get to the second muted part where he says, "I watched the party just die. Dudes crackling about while all y'all is on trial." Now, to me, this sounds like it's what's missing here is the Diddy trial, because we know he's saying, "I watched the party just die," and he's saying trial. So something about a party, something about trials. And we know the biggest trials right now were the Young Thug trial, who got released, and Lil Durk at the time, and then obviously the Diddy trial. And Diddy specifically was, I don't want to say humorous in the bad sense, but people really were cracking a lot of jokes about the baby oil. A lot of kind of entertainment came out of that situation, and unfortunately. This is how I see it. I watched the party just die. Dudes crackling about Diddy parties while all y'all is on trial. Like y'all laughing about Diddy, y'all poking fun about y'all wondering who's at the parties and all this kind of stuff, and who did what, who did this. All y'all's on trial, not just these people. So again, this could just be to the fans, this could just be to the celebrities, anyone kind of poking fun. It's just a way for Kendrick to say, y'all looking out, look in. Y'all want to judge others, judge yourself. Next line, "Make Katt Williams and them proud. The truth about to get loud." And nice ode. I just thought this was a really nice ode to Katt Williams, whose interview we know on Club Shay Shay obviously went crazy viral, nearing 100 million views, where he was seen as just spilling the tea and pulling back the curtain on many secrets and exposing many things that people have viewed him as someone being a a prophet in a way, seeing 2024 as the year of truth. He iconically said in the interview, all lies will be exposed and anyone who takes that the wrong way knows why they take it the wrong way. The truth is a light. I think Katt Williams just became this real semblance of truth in a way, and drawing a line in the sand between what's fake and what's real. Kendrick seems to resemble that. So this was definitely a nice ode to Katt Williams. Then we get to one of the beautiful, beautiful lines, fierce lines, what we see as protection standing up for black women, where he says, new juices out of my cup, I sober up and knock them all off. Don't let no white comedian talk about no black women, that's law. I know propaganda work for them and F whoever that's close to them. And he goes on. Now, what a beautiful way for Kendrick to stick up for black women. That's the first thing. This line had me wondering first, also, who are the white comedians that Kendrick is talking about? Because I've honestly heard more than one do this. And clearly all the talk of the internet, though, has been saying that Kendrick is referencing Andrew Schulz. And Andrew Schulz had a moment while talking to two other black creators from, I believe it's the Shits and Gigs podcast show, where he asked them about something they brought up, asking,
what is the black girlfriend effect? This
you don't know about this.
Glow up the other culture.
Yeah, so you'll see a guy who's had a black girlfriend, all of a sudden he's got buzz cut, like clean shape up. Glows up, bro.
I like that. They shave their hair because they start losing it. Because they're so stressed being around this black girl complaining about shit all the fucking time. That's why they gotta shave their hair.
Nah, bro. White guys with black girlfriends, they
grow a beard because there's more cushion when they get slapped the fuck out of.
Parts of the conversation, honestly, are cut out and edited. And then you hear Andrew yelling, Kendrick fans, get him.
What's your favorite? We love the most.
Yeah.
That means white.
No.
Translation. Kendrick fans, get him!
You know, a lot of people didn't take too well to the comments and actually lashed out at the group, at those two dudes, and Andrew Schulz. But the two, they actually ended up apologizing, but some people saw it as insincere.
Yeah, there were a few jokes made that were incredibly inappropriate. One specifically pertaining to black women.
Yep.
And in the clip, Andrew was making a joke. I'm not even going to get into specifics. Frankly, like racist joke.
Yeah.
And we were laughing at it. And to give, there's first of all, before we get into like specifics or anything like that, obviously there's just literally no excuse.
Pause.
There is no excuse.
Agreed. Pause.
It was kind of ironic because Andrew Schulz ended up reacting to their apology, saying he feels for them. Like I don't remember him apologizing and then saying that he feels for them, that they're just trying to save their careers. But they were guests at his show, for which something he himself brought up, and he actually continued to elaborate on himself. But he was like distancing himself watching the apology, like, oh, I wonder if they're just trying to say I have nothing to do with this, but you kind of do. I found a lot of interesting commentary on this. The guys at the Pivot podcast had some really interesting commentary about it.
But I think those dudes should have pushed back. But when I did see it, it upset me, because the whole thing about, argumentative black women and all this stuff, I think it's a stigma.
An experience I had is marrying a black woman and watching her sleep on my cot as doctors try to figure out why I'm 140 pounds and I'm a 30-year-old man who was 205 pounds a month before that. Her telling me months after that she would just go in the bathroom and cry every night in the hospital because she didn't want me to worry about her because I was so sick. Right? For her to hold my family together so I could be in the household with my children when I was doing things and I wasn't shit.
Then Academics, who claims that he engaged in a conversation with Andrew Schulz about Kendrick's verse, he says that Schulz responded to him saying,
by the way, I hit Andrew Schulz about that. And I think his reaction was, he's like, yo, is this guy too woke to understand a joke?
Now, if that reply is true and Schulz said that, that reply by itself needs its own video about how the word woke has been demonized when it originally meant to be conscious and socially aware. And then this was expanded for broader awareness for many disenfranchised communities. And now the word has become demonized. So how can Kendrick or anyone be too woke? And how does that sound coming from a white comedian? Andrew Schulz isn't the only comedian, though, who went viral for speaking negatively towards a black woman. This comedian, I thought, actually got a pass for this at some point. Troy Bond practically launched his career after this clip of him getting into a tit for tat with a black woman in the audience who spoke out against him, gets her kicked out of the show, and he says some crazy things.
Have a good night, Kamala Harris. Now's the time I need you on my side.
No, that was the most racist joke ever.
I got like 4 more in the chamber.
No, Kamala Harris.
Yeah, go pick up the gun she left under the chair.
And some of the context is not clear, as I think some of it is missing. So they're calling her a heckler, but there are pieces of the show missing, so we don't know what he said prior. As a side note, Troy Bond says in some of his other clips that he is biracial, having a white mother and black father, you know, and it doesn't seem like that's an excuse to treat people and say certain things, regardless. And then we heard Gary Owens have a really weird response on Instagram saying that he has a black, I believe, wife. And then kind of joking about Kendrick's line saying, if that's law, then I'm criminal. All these jokes just show distaste, racism, tone deafness. Just a word of advice to white comedians: don't comment about, don't joke about race. It's not something that people take too well, especially not of non-white cultures, non-white races. It's something that really affects them. So stay away from that topic. You can't just pass everything as a joke. You know, some stuff I think white comedians maybe just really don't understand. And if you want to joke about something, joke about your own race. So I just love Kendrick's response here and bringing this up. Again, it just shows that he's so in tune with everything that's going on. I have to say, someone in my community made a really good point that Kendrick wasn't necessarily only talking to the white comedian, but also talking to the Two from the Shits and Gigs podcast, telling them, or anyone who was there at the time, because he says, don't let no white comedian talk about no black women, that's law. I know propaganda work for them, and F whoever that's close to them. And he goes on to proceed to describe, saying, you know, kind of mentioning two people. So that's another interesting outlook. And in the Troy Bond, you could hear the young black woman say, you know, don't stand up for this. I loved how Kendrick dealt with this. Then he goes on to say, you ever ate Captain Crunch and proceeded to pour water in it, pulled over by the law, you riding dirty so you can't argue with them, then make it to be a star, bare your soul and put your heart up in it? Well, I did. So this is just Kendrick talking about going through rough times and making it. Do you ever understand what it's like to be broke and be poor, come from nothing, and then get this type of stardom and what you have to face? And this is also a nice callback to Euphoria, where he says, have you ever walked your enemy down like with a poker face? Have you ever paid $500,000 like to an open case? Well, I have, and I failed out both, but I came out straight. So Kendrick just kind of giving a nod to where he came from. And the Captain Crunch, I think, was interesting because has anyone ever put water in Captain Crunch? How I saw it is sometimes you run out of milk and you pour a bowl of cereal and you got to water down the milk just so you can make some more milk for the Captain Crunch. But I don't know, maybe Kendrick's talking about just straight water. Have you ever just poured straight water in Captain Crunch, meaning you are broke? There's no money for even milk. Then the last line, whack the murals out, but it ain't no legends if my legend ends. And this is just Kendrick admitting his power in the game. Maybe they can keep vandalizing these murals and trying to ruin our reputations, but in the end, if I'm not here, we won't have any more true rap legends.